I'm making a kitchen table, and there's some knots that have some voids in them, and so I'm going to fill those with clear epoxy, and just thought I'd make a quick video on how you can do that. So I've sanded them flat across the top, and then you blow out, you know, any dust that's in there, and then I'm using this glaze coat Famo wood, and I'm just using this because I need quite a bit of it. This tabletop's kind of big, and so this is the most economical way for me to do it. But you could just use clear epoxy to put in there. Just be sure it's crystal clear and not the yellow, you know, if that's going to bother you. Some people also fill these with black epoxy. Alright, so I'm going to move you a little bit closer, and then we'll get started. Alright, so you're going to mix this up using the manufacturer's instructions, but I've put in equal parts according to what the manufacturer requested. Now, this stuff is actually made for coating your countertop, you mean your table, and putting a big, you know, epoxy coating on it. And the nice thing about that is it self-levels. Some of the epoxies you get, like that come in the syringes, you know, or the little tubes, they're going to be really thick, and you might have trouble getting it to flow into your knot. Okay, so we're just going to start filling it up. I'm trying not to get too much on the outside. Now you can certainly sand this down. And it'll create bubbles, and you can hit those bubbles with a torch if you want to get rid of them, but a lot of times if you just wait, they just go away. Alright, now we'll let that sit and get hard. It may sink down a little bit more, and I may have to come back and add some more, but we'll come back when we've got a nice thick coating that's nice and hard that we can sand. And that might take a couple of days before it gets really hard enough to sand. If you start sanding it and it's gummy at all, you're sanding too soon, and you need to back off and let it cure some more. Here's our two knot holes, and when I filled them the first time, they didn't quite fill up, and you'll find that a lot of times you'll fill them and then it'll sink down in there because this epoxy will actually seep into the wood. So the best thing to do is to fill them up and then go away and leave it, and come back 4 hours later after it has hardened and mix you up a little bit more and fill up any voids that you have, because otherwise you'll just keep filling and filling and filling, and it just seeps into the wood, and it'll take forever. You can see it's a little cloudy here because before I filled it the second time, I lightly sanded it to make sure I got good adhesion on the original epoxy that I put in there. So then I just added just a little bit more to the low spots. Now the next thing you got to do is sand it and or flatten it out, and you can do that a lot of different ways. Probably the most common is just to take you some sandpaper. Now this is just some 120 grit sandpaper, and it's that stuff they sell it at Home Depot. It's like, it says like 3X on it, just meaning it'll last 3 times as long, and it actually does last pretty well. But put it on a block so that you'll get a nice flat surface, and then you just start going over the top of it, and you can see that 120 grit sandpaper's moving it pretty fast. Okay, and that's got it flat with the surface. As I run my fingers over it, I can't feel it anymore. And then as I sand the table, I won't block sand it anymore. I'll just use my orbital sander. As I'm sanding my tabletop now, it'll, you know, as I progress up through the grits, these scratches will get finer and finer. And then when I put a finish on there, you won't be able to see them, and we'll get to that step next. All right, so here the knot is all finished. I sanded it with the 120 sandpaper and then 220 sandpaper, and then just put a finish over the top of it. This happens to be a Waterlux original finish, but you could use polyurethane or whatever it is that you want to use. And as you can see, you can see down into the knot, which I think is really neat. Anyway, hope this was helpful to you. Thank you for watching.